Time to turn the heat up once again on the burning issues of football. Would Barcelona have achieved such greatness with or without Pep Guardiola? Is it right for managers to lose their cool every now and then? And can we put Alfredo Di Stefano in the same league as Pelé and Maradona? Hot debate from the world game, here on The Burning Issue. Pep Guardiola's time at Barcelona was legendary, redefining the way a team could win. But would they have done it without him? Barcelona under Pep Guardiola in the season spanning 2008 to 2012 was possibly the greatest chapter in Catalan history. 3 La Liga titles, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Club World Cups, 2 Copa del Reys, all in the space of 4 seasons. That, folks, is some highly concentrated trophy hauling. But there's a question that's hung over the great era ever since Pep shuffled off to Germany. And that's, would Barca have done what they did with or without him? Pep had a team of the most unearthly talent at his disposal that plenty feel would have owned it no matter who was steering the ship. Chief among them was Lionel Messi at his unquestionable best. Whilst under Pep's charge, the Argentine kicked 211 goals in 219 games, including the 2011-12 season, where he went bananas and blew the roof off the all-time record for goals scored in a season, an insane 73 netted in only 60 games. But Messi on fire was just one component. Sergio Busquets was brought up from Barca B to join Xavi and Iniesta in the midfield. Captain Carles Puyol in defence, along with Gerard Piqué, brought back from Manchester United. David Villa purchased for €40 million, which saw him score in the 3-1 Champions League win over Manchester United in 2011. And no player was confined to his position. At any one time, Barca was an 11-headed attacking Tiki-Taka beast. After the break, that beast had a body of champions, but its brain was undoubtedly Pep Guardiola. Many have wondered whether Barcelona between 2008 and 2012 would have achieved all it did even without Pep Guardiola. But here's the thing. The Tiki-Taka style that utterly ripped domestic and continental competitions to pieces was all part of Pep's grand design. A young Guardiola had been instructed in the total football tradition as a player by Johan Cruyff in the early 90s, when Barca won 4 La Ligas in a row and the 1992 European Cup. His application when he returned to the new camp as manager was watertight. And here's another thing. Yes, Pep inherited some of the greatest ever, but he was also willing to cut them if they pushed back against his new regime. When Guardiola arrived in 2008, Barca belonged to Ronaldinho. Recognising the need to make space for Messi, and let's face it, because Ronnie's good time antics had gotten away from him, Guardiola moved the Brazilian on. He did likewise with Samuel Eto'o, Deco, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic when the big striking Swede rebelled against the total football model, which caused friction as only Zlatan can. No one was off limits for Guardiola. Pep's ruthless standards changed the culture at the new camp, uniting it into a formidable collective. Sure, that combination of stars under any manager probably would have achieved greatness. But it wouldn't have come in such a condensed fashion, and it wouldn't have been so utterly exciting to watch. Could Barca have done what it did without Pep? Certainly not in the way we remember it. For the most part, we get the public relations-friendly, politically correct version of football managers, minding their P's and Q's to keep the peace and their jobs. Some are steely with their emotional restraint. But every now and then we get a glimpse of fun. And when the better angels of their nature shine through, it's priceless stuff. Like when Chelsea manager Antonio Conte fielded questions over whether he was interested in selling star midfielder Eden Hazard to Barcelona to fill the enormous hole left there by Neymar jumping to PSG.
You are trying to buy the players, not to sell them. Otherwise, the number is always less, and we are in trouble.
But is it actually right for a manager to let the devil on their shoulder win from time to time? One of the most hilarious examples of this was back in 2015, when Leicester City manager Nigel Pearson hit the end of his rope. The Foxes had found themselves 7 points from safety after 29 matches, before the ship was righted, and Pearson and his boys had copped it from the press.
For the players to have to deal with the amount of criticism and negativity that we've had to endure over the course of the season has been something which has tested us all.
While the manager was being candid about the impact, one reporter, fatally, didn't seem to know what criticism he was whinging about. And this was the response.
The fact that you do not understand where I'm coming from. If you don't know the answer to that question, then I think you are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand?
It's not at all.
Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand? My suspicion would be no. I can, you can't.
Pearson was less flexible in letting the poor guy off the hook.
You can't. So don't give that crap with me. Please, don't give that crap with me. And I'll smile at you because I can afford to smile at you.
And when the reporter still couldn't put the pieces together...
You don't know what,
I don't know how you've taken that question.
Well, you must be very stupid. I'm sorry. No. See you.
Thanks, Nigel. See you tomorrow.
No, don't thank me.
How good is it? Pearson was smashed for the shredding and apologised to the reporter. But he didn't apologise for being his own man, and that should be applauded.
What I am is what I am. And I have to live with that. And I don't necessarily want to change.
Pearson's emotions eventually saw him moved on, making way for Claudio Ranieri to write his 2015-16 fairy tale. But we're glad for his contribution. Pearson's gloves came off, but it was a British version. In 2017, we witnessed a manager blowing his top American style. During a game against Sporting Kansas City in the MLS, Real Salt Lake boss Mike Petke was ejected for overzealously challenging the fourth official after the referee failed to call a foul on Sporting defender Saad Abdul Salam when he appeared to manhandle João Plata in a headlock. In the press room afterwards, Petke felt compelled to, speak his mind.
Why I got ejected tonight? This is the play right here. Pass these out, Trey. We have a player put through on a breakaway. Could have been a breakaway. You see the still frame right here of him in a headlock. In a freaking headlock. Nothing is called. And then the ball goes back the other way, and there's whatever foul it was on Tony Beltran or Luke, or I don't even know at this point. There's a foul called, put them in a goal-scoring opportunity for a free kick. Okay? I am who I am. I've apologized to my players. I've apologized to my boss again. I've apologized to the fans. I cannot, if I do not act the way I do, I can't sleep the next 4 weeks. Okay? I have players here that over the last couple of games have given me everything, have bought in everything. Okay? Tonight they've given me everything. I'm not going to answer why I got ejected, but look at these 2 pictures. I have 2 more that the freaking printer didn't work, so I couldn't print it up. But I'll get you those slides as well. Okay? Okay. Now I'm good.
It would be utter chaos if this was the norm. But you know what? It really should be a manager's obligation to let emotions out of the bottle from time to time. It shows they take pride in what they're trying to achieve. There was a superb example of pride ahead of the Netherlands Women's Euro final showdown with Denmark in 2017. Former Dutch international Arnold Muren had publicly criticised his nation's women's team that they wouldn't be able to beat a male 5th division team. In a fantastic show of solidarity for his opposition, Dane Niels Nielsen took a swing at Muren prior to the match.
If you don't like women's football, please be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't be disrespectful. Let the girls play. Because they deserve some credit. And we're gonna have a great final tomorrow. We're gonna have the 2 best teams in the tournament playing, and they're gonna play their heart out to win a European championship for the first time in many, many years for their country. So please show some respect and back them up. Both countries, okay?
He went on to clarify that the women should be celebrated separately to the men. The Oranje wives were vindicated with a 4-2 victory in the final on home soil, which they didn't hold back celebrating. For Muren's reference, the Women's Euro 2017 was a global phenomenon. Every Dutch game sold out. TV audience of over 165 million. Final shown in over 80 countries. And when the Dutch beat England in the semi-final, 4 million tuned in to Channel 4, beating viewership for Celebrity Big Brother. Oh, and this was the response the girls had from the Orange Legion following the victory. So, Arnold Muren, Coach Nielsen said it best.
Be proud of them, goddammit.
Up next, he was certainly the greatest of his time. But is Alfredo Di Stefano up there with the greatest of all time? For many footballers, life in retirement can be difficult. By its nature, the game attracts those with a love of high-stakes competition and the high thrills of life, which when the game is no longer there can shift into, well, less healthy behavior. It's extraordinary how many players find themselves facing bankruptcy after they hang up the boots too, despite having earned such huge money. It can be hard to sympathize with a player on 100 grand a week who complains about financial troubles. But if you're a dude in your 20s with the resources to live like a king, it's a rare breed who can keep a level head. As Stan Collymore mentioned in his autobiography, it's too easy to spend money like you're going to be earning that kind of money for the rest of your life. There's also the issue of many young players getting bad advice on where to invest their millions. Greats can find a career in commentary, but often you find that when a club is done with them, players are cast to the wind with little support. Organisations have even been created to offer former players welfare, believe it or not. There's also the issue of once super fit athletes maintaining an appetite without the, means to burn it off. But there's one very good reason retired athletes should keep a toe in a fitness regime. See, there's always a chance they'll get called up for the obligatory Legends game. Fans were treated to a glimpse of yesteryear when Barcelona's 1992 European Cup winning side reunited at the Nou Camp to commemorate 25 years since their victory. Ronald Koeman, who had scored the penalty goal at Wembley Stadium to put Barca 1-0 up over Italian rival Sampdoria, partook along with old teammate Pep Guardiola. While they couldn't repeat the win, ending in a 0-0 draw, the lads still looked pretty sharp. Hristo Stoichkov in particular. Pep clearly looks after himself these days too. Real Madrid and AS Roma legends went head-to-head in the Corazon Classic match in 2017. And Luis Figo looked to have lost little at 44 years old, his free kick contributing to the 4-0 win for Real. And Fernando Morientes still looked well handy. As for Brazilian Ronaldo, well, hey, you know what? Whenever you see the guy at these kinds of things, he's always wearing a big old smile, so good on him. Ronaldo's old Brazil teammate and Barcelona legend Ronaldinho kept in shape well enough to tear the Manchester United defence to pieces during a Legends charity match in 2017. One guy who partied harder than just about anyone during and after his career was the mighty Maradona. Despite his excesses, El Pipidoro now has a healthy habit of showing up at Legends games all over the world. While he's a little rounder than the man who carved out a chunk of immortality with Argentina, it's classic to see the gnarly competitive edge still burning strong. When there's the chance you'll be called up for Legends duties in retirement, it pays to keep at least some of your assets sharp. Alfredo Di Stefano was a rare talent and one of Real Madrid's best. But can we rank him with the greatest ever? Alfredo Di Stefano was the greatest player of his time, hands down. Born in Buenos Aires in 1926, he represented Argentina and Colombia before becoming a Spanish citizen in 1956, earning 31 caps for Spain, scoring 23 goals. Di Stefano made his senior club debut with River Plate, had stints in Colombia with Huracan and Millonarios, and carved out history with Real Madrid from 1953 to 1964. 216 league goals in 282 games, 308 in total for the club, a record not surpassed until Raul netted in 2009. In his 11 years at the club, they won the Primera División 8 times and the first 5 straight European Cups.
Canaria's clever centre was tapped in by Di Stefano.
The 2-time Ballon d'Or winner was the complete player. Quick, creative and versatile. A force in almost any position. Former Real manager Miguel Munoz once observed, "The greatness of Di Stefano was that, with him in your side, you had 2 players in every position." Di Stefano's impact on the game was immense. But is it in the same league as Pelé and Maradona? And if so, can we measure him alongside the greats Messi and Ronaldo? There's one problem. Di Stefano never played in a World Cup. Due to a dispute between Argentina and the Brazilian Football Confederation, and then eligibility dramas, Di Stefano was denied playing in the 1950 and 1954 World Cups. After gaining Spanish citizenship, the team didn't qualify in 1958. Tragically, Spain did qualify for the Chile 1962 World Cup, but Di Stefano suffered a cruel muscular injury, ruling him out of the finals. Whether it's fair or not, when we think of Pelé, we remember 3 World Cup victories. Maradona, his 1986 World Cup heroics. Messi and Ronaldo have both starred on the world's biggest stage. Messi with greater success, Ronaldo constrained by his birth country. But we all know if he was surrounded by a few more eagles, he'd have soared long ago. Perhaps Di Stefano would also have soared, had he been given the chance. In 2000, FIFA tried to settle the argument with the Player of the Century award. The initial vote was cast on the internet, which placed Maradona on top, with daylight between, Pelé in second. Di Stefano was 14th. After criticism, the younger internet voters would favour Maradona. Journalists and former players voted through the IFFHS, and the FIFA magazine and grand jury vote ranked Pelé well atop, with Di Stefano actually pipping El Pipidoro. So for those with a deeper memory, Di Stefano is right up there. Why then, do we ask? Pelé or Maradona? Messi or Ronaldo? The latter is easy. The Argentine and Portuguese inhabiting the same era. But Pelé and Maradona were born 20 years apart. Di Stefano was only born 14 years before Pelé, yet the two are always measured separately. Maybe it's because Di Stefano played in a more ancient era that simply lacked great peers for comparison. Pelé is measured next to the likes of Eusebio and Johan Cruyff. Maradona alongside Platini and George Best. Whether because of cruel fate or general intuition, folklore seems to remember Di Stefano in a tier below the true greatest of all time. Still to come, has everyone become too shirty about footballers getting their shirts off? Cristiano Ronaldo only spent 24 minutes on the pitch for the first leg of 2017's Spanish Super Cup against Barcelona. But in that brief time, he managed to cause a fair stir. He thumped in a superb goal, contributing to the 3-1 win for Real, but followed it up with a familiar celebration. Shirt off, pecs tensed. He wore a yellow card for the flash, which wouldn't have been such a drama. Except the Portuguese later stumbled in the box, fishing for a penalty, which the impatient ref deemed a dive and produced a second yellow, Ronaldo's marching orders. In a bratty moment, Ronaldo pushed the ref as the red appeared, earning him a 5-match ban, which sparked accusations there was a conspiracy against the star. During the post-match mop-up, Real teammate Dani Carvajal was particularly scathing of the hardline decision.
I think this is a really excessive punishment. Cristiano never meant to disrespect the referee, like this punishment intends to show. It was a frustrating situation for him. He was kicked out during a game from which he should never have been expelled. I think this is excessive, and I wish the committee would take some games off the punishment.
Ronaldo brought down to earth by a power-tripping referee is one thing, but the bigger issue is with his first offence. Is a player taking his shirt off really worthy of a booking? The rule was brought in to avoid time wasting. To be sure, sponsors on shirts always remain visible. And there's a risk players may have tattoos with inflammatory political messages. But really, players celebrating in weird and wonderful ways after scoring goals takes just as long, whether they have their shirt on or not. The sponsors? As if we aren't saturated enough with product placement. Sponsors getting shirty about their logo disappearing for a few moments, while a player goes bananas, proves how greedy they've become. It's understandable that there are concerns over players revealing inflammatory tattoos. But this one would be better dealt with on a case-by-case basis, because there have been moments when players have used their bodies as canvases for more positive things. Who could forget Zlatan Ibrahimovic unveiling his fake tattoos in 2015 after he scored for PSG against Cannes? The ink was in support of the World Food Programme's attempt to address the 805 million people living in poverty around the world. What better cause could you support? Yet, the ref was apparently incapable of using his own discretion and booked Zlatan for the incident. Other than being annoyingly self-centered, Ronaldo getting his kit off isn't making any kind of statement. Referees would serve the game better if they made the call case by case. It's really not worth getting their shirts in a knot.
He cannot be